New Evolution Pro Wrestling
Yeah.
ran a show in New York.
Yeah, over the weekend, November 12th.
And what? Promoter ran off with the money, you said?
Yeah, halfway through the show, he said he had to go to the hospital, but he actually ran off with the money. Alberto Del Rio was on there.
How do you know he didn't go to the hospital?
And he didn't pay any of the talent?
No. They ended up just having to take the rest of the money that was from the autographs. They had to split that, but it wasn't enough.
That's not cool.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Well, how do you know if he actually went to the hospital?
It didn't matter. He didn't pay them.
Well, not after the show either. Like,
but did he go to the hospital?
We don't know. They couldn't find the guy.
Maybe he's in the hospital. Maybe he died.
well, no,
Well,
somebody
take the money from
close
the
to
show.
him probably died.
Or maybe he just had it. He had to go, and it's still there, and somebody's waiting to claim it.
Defending the guy, shit.
Did the show sell out, or was the show a bust? Was it a full
I
house?
just know they finished the show for the fans.
Well, I mean, if he, I don't know the whole details of that. I mean, I know what happens. Haven't heard that happening in a long while.
Have you ever ran into, I mean, not something like that, but like
Man, yeah.
some promoters that are a little, like, I guess shadier than others, or don't run
There's a
things.
saying that in wrestling I used to joke, and Luna used to say it, and I don't know where we didn't get it from her. I mean, we both heard it from somebody, but there's a saying where they go, "I'm gonna take a promoter and wipe my booker."
What?
Ramy, you don't get that reference? It's like taking a crap and then wiping your ass. Like, so I'm gonna take a booker, wipe the promoter, or vice versa. I'm gonna take a booker and wipe the promoter. Like, whatever. You don't get it? Well, I'm sure somebody out there got that joke. As I was saying, like, and that doesn't mean everybody is that, but promoters are. I don't know. You watch the Elvis movie, Colonel Parker. Like a lot of them could be like something of that nature. They're a little bit carny, looking to make a buck off your sweat, but they do take chances and risks. They put money out up front. They do that, but when it goes bad, they got to answer for it. When it goes good, they make good for it. They do well. It's a gamble like anything. It's promoting. You're promoting stuff. You're betting on your talent. You're betting on it. I believe you could draw money, and I believe that the show will work in this area, and then I get fans in there. And sometimes it doesn't work. Now, that's why I asked if he drew or not. So if he drew and he had a big house and he just took off with the money,
Yeah,
that's just horrible. Like if it was a terrible house and he didn't 6P it, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. If he didn't 6P it right and he was desperate, it's still a shitty move, but I would understand it more than running off with a full house of money. That's even more heat. Either's not good, and I'm not justifying either way. And I've been on both ends of that. I've been I've been it's more than I can even remember, but there was one I could tell you about the Virgin Islands or something but the promoter was there and he ended up getting beat up and but I'll tell you about one where in this same situation where the promoter left halfway through the show. So I was on a show in San Diego. It was out during the San Diego Comic-Con. I can't remember the name of the show and stuff, but Chris Masters was on it, and I was living in LA, so I rode with Chris Masters. So I'm driving down there with Chris Masters. I do not smoke marijuana. I don't smoke pot. Chris Masters smokes pot, a lot of pot, a lot. I don't know if he still does or not. I mean, it's legal there. He has a medical card and all that stuff, so it's all good. Calls it medicine, I think. But he kept his windows up. So this is my poor judgment. This is why I'm giving you the build up to why I had poor judgment in my situation. So we go from LA to San Diego. He smokes the whole way down. He wants to go walk around Comic-Con when we get there. But when I get there, I could barely walk. I've been hotboxed because the windows were up.
Hotboxed.
Yeah. So the windows were up. I was high as oh hell. I couldn't hardly. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, yeah. And I'm walking around like the outskirts of Comic-Con and stuff, seeing all these people dressed in costumes. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Who's that? So I'm high, kind of tripping, but I go, wait, it was from me sitting in that car the whole time and him smoking. So I didn't, it chilled the panic mode out, right? So, and then we go, there was this taco place in San Diego, but it's wrestling themed, like lucha, like with the mask and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it, but we went and I got a couple tacos in me. started feeling a little bit better. I'm like, okay, like, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Like, and then, then I think he smoked some more. But whatever, we get to the show. And he's like, bro, Vamp, what do you think? I don't think this guy's good for nothing. I'm like, he's fine. He's like, I don't know, man. Like, hey, whatever. There's not a lot of people here, this and this and that. And I'm saying, it'll be all right. So he wrestles. I think he was on before me, or he might have been on after me, or whatever. But literally, he might have been on before me. And then I'm talking to the promoter right before I wrestle, and he's like, man, go have a great show and go do good. I'm like, yeah, man, thanks, cool. I didn't once, because Chris wanted to get our money up front. I didn't once think about it. I'm talking to the promoter. I go to the ring, but while I was in the ring, the promoter left. He just took off.
And didn't pay you?
Nah, he didn't pay us, no. He just took off, left the building, just disappeared, and that was it. And then Chris is like, bro, I told you, man, like, this guy. And he goes, well, you're the veteran, you should know. And I go, man, you had me so high from L.A. to San Diego, I couldn't make a judgment on anything. That's probably another reason I don't smoke weed or anything. That was just a bad decision.
And they drew well?
No, it was a rough draw. It was like, it was in the outskirts. He had moved venues from where he was originally the year before or something.
So he just said...
So he gambled and he lost, and I guess he didn't make money. So Chris was quick-witted and went down and grabbed like what was left in the box office or something. And so whatever, he grabbed that and ended up covering our gas money, and we were able to eat Jack in the Box on the way back, which I ate a lot of Jack in the Box because I was high, because he was smoking again on the way back. But that had happened. He ran off. I can't remember the promoter's name or anything. I remember X-Pac. I had said something. He put the guy on blast out there. He will. Sean X-Pac will put you on blast. But I've had promoters, and there was another guy. I think his name's David Torres in Cleveland. This guy, I didn't do the show, but he just did it to somebody else, and there was somebody else talking about it. He's done it to a few people where he advertised you on a show and then pulls you off of it. But the show, and says, oh, it's not, or he just doesn't even call you back, or you don't hear from him or anything. He's out of Cleveland. David Tower, maybe, or something Tower. I need to go back to my old things, find him, and put him back on blast, because he was a fucking dick. And he's doing it to other people, so now it makes me think like, no, I wasn't wrong for how I felt, because all the way up to 2 weeks out, I didn't have a ticket, and I would call this guy. I think it was David Tower. I think that's his name. If it's not, and I'm mixing him up with somebody else, I'm so sorry. If there's an actual David Tower, I'll mix it up. But if he's in Cleveland, he's got that name, it's probably the same guy. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. But I said, hey, I got a chance to do a 2-week tour.
You need to know.
Or like a week tour. I had like for a guy in Winnipeg area, Danny. I can't think of his last name in a second, but I could have went and did like 5 or 6 shows. But his show fell in the middle of it, and it would have messed things up. And he needed me for all the shows. He's like, no, we're good, bro. Blah 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 blah. And then so I said, I gotta get a ticket. He goes, I'm getting a ticket. He never got me a ticket. I called him up. He's like, oh, well, whatever he said. And so I put a post up that buried him. And people just went on there, and a lot of people said he did that to me.
That's not cool.
And he called me up begging me please take that down. Please take it down. And
did you?
Yeah, I took it down because I didn't want to put negativity out there. I think it did what it did at first. And he goes, I promise you, I'll just send you a deposit. Couldn't send me the money. He told me he didn't run the show, but he ran the show. And then I just heard that he did it to somebody else. Did the same thing. They didn't miss a tour, but they missed a weekend of work because this guy said he's using them, and they went and looked at the poster, and they weren't on the poster anymore. And the guy's just a piece of work. It's definitely in Cleveland. I may be mixing the name up. I hope I'm not causing anybody else problems, but
that's definitely not cool.
I believe it was David Tower. I'm not sure. Can't swear to that. It's something like that. He was it was a Spanish guy, but it's Cleveland. He ran Cleveland. I think his name was David. I'm sure somebody will know if they listen to this, and they'll correct me or get me pointed in the right direction. And when they do, I'm going to go back and re-put that post, because I can't remember who I was riding. It was Matt. I think it was Matt Cardona that told me. Maybe I'll reach out to Matt and get that name again. I think it was Matt Cardona. I'll put this guy back on blast again, because he can't keep doing that to people. That's wrong. He's a repeat offender and a repeat offender. Maybe this guy had a mental breakdown. He just couldn't handle it and left. I don't know. But it does happen. I've been down in the Virgin Islands where this Desmond Granado guy would. No, it wasn't Desmond. Oh, sorry, Desmond. It was. He's passed away. I blacked his eye. Tom Casati. Tom Casati would run these shows, and sometimes these shows didn't really exist, but he would go through the process of flying you out there because he wanted the girls on the show, Luna, Malia. It's so weird they're both. But it was one time he had a show. There was nobody in the stadium, this and that. We all flew down there, and this big Vito was like, "Gotta get my money." I'm like, "Vito, we're like not in our country. We're like in the Virgin Islands or somewhere." It was under some other rule. It wasn't the United States. It wasn't the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was, or whatever it was. Vito, I looked over and he had him like upside down, like trying to shake change out of his pocket. I'm like, "Put him down, man. We're gonna we could get in trouble. Don't let him go. Let him go." He lets him go. I talk him in and let him go, saying, "Hey, we can't do this in another country, whatever." 5 minutes later, I see him arguing with Luna, not Vito, but Tom Casati. He just passed away not too long ago, but and he's a friend of mine. But this did happen, and whatever. I thought he shoved at her or something, and I went across the room. And I just blasted him, and I was beating him up, and I remember I got so mad I was going to pull his eye out. And I remember going to reach his eye, and there was like this guy called Kodiak Bear. I think Raymond might have been there. But they were trying to keep me from grabbing, and I was like, and the next thing you know, all the police were around me with like machine guns going, "We'll shoot you, mother. We'll shoot you." So that got my attention really quick. They took me up to the empty stadium where there was no fans, because this was down in like would have been like a dressing room, like a baseball dressing room or something. It was in a stadium. And they're like, "We'll shoot you. You can't do that," and whatever, with their accent. I think it was in the Virgin Islands, but not the U.S. Virgin Islands. The other. Like, wherever it was, we landed in like a sugarcane field. It was in an island. I just can't remember where it was.
You always go straight for the eyes.
Yeah, unfortunately. But so they talked to me, and I go, "Yeah, man, I'm cool. It's all good." Like, I just lost my temper for a minute, and so we go back downstairs, and poor Tom Casati never got up from that position. Luna attacked him like an octopus, had a rear choke on him, and was biting him on his head, just choking him, just beating him. And what did the police do, or the military, whatever they were? They were police, but they looked like military. They started laughing. I'm like, she is doing more damage to him than I did. He's been down here this whole time, mauling this guy, and they started laughing. They thought it was funny that a woman was beating the shit out of this guy. And poor Tom. Seeing him a week later, his face was swole shut. He's in rougher shape than you were. Than you are. Yeah, he's a little rough. But he was out managing the show. "Hey, David, how are you?" Just like nothing ever happened. And, like, poor Tom. But it happens. And, they handle things a little different in the older school days, The older wrestlers, they'll hunt a guy down and pull a gun on him, and they'll beat him to death, this and that. But this is a different generation. You wouldn't think that stuff happens now. You're definitely not going to get away with it with the social media and people with podcasts like this. And like, I definitely think Raymond, I should do a whole episode about that guy in Cleveland. I got to go find the name and get the name right. If it's David Tower or David Torres, or I should remember it, but when whoever was talking about it, I think it might have been Cordone. I go, "Oh, I know that guy," and that same shit happened to me. And like, so now I think he really needs to be really, like, maybe he should start policing people on here. I'm not the police, but maybe start going out and calling some of these bad promoters out, like, this, because it's really like it's like pro wrestling's busted bones and broken homes. So like on the indie level, you either are trying to make it, or you've been somewhere and you're gracefully trying to fall back down, but you're still just trying to do what you love. You don't really need people taking advantage of you. Like, you've already paid the price in one way or another. Whether you're coming up, you're paying the price, or whether you're going down, you paid the price, and you're just still hanging on. But I mean, you look, you see how I walk, the knees and things, and we do it for love, much like the rodeo. It's in our blood. It's what we love. It's what we're gonna do. Probably gonna do it anyways, even if there wasn't a dime to be made. But you certainly don't need people just taking advantage of you and just basically just treating you, like just using you up, like just putting you out on the street and getting everything out of you and just beating you when you don't want to get, whatever, however you want to look at it. You just don't need people taking advantage of you. So it does happen, and in this day and age, you wouldn't think it would happen, like I said, with all the social media and all the outlets, which I guess not. It's out there, and I'm sure this guy probably never show his face again unless he makes good on some stuff. But it's unfortunate. It's sad, but it is a part of any business, anywhere, any type of stuff. You know, even happened to Elvis.